Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight for our webinar on the foundations of successful trading. Tonight, our CIO of Track Record Asia, Mr. Phan Vee Leung, will share the secrets to trading with you guys. So a bit about V's background. So V has a storied career and an extensive career in finance. He has worked across various financial centers across the world, major ones, New York, London, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Seoul. So he started his career in JPMorgan Chase, formerly known as Chase Manhattan. And then at a young age of 29, in 2004, he co-founded NorOdin Investment with peak assets of $1.2 billion in New York hedge fund. And then subsequently, he came back to Singapore to head the trading teams in both Deutsche Bank and Morgan Stanley. And in 2013, he semi-retired and traveled the world. And he came back because friends in the professional circle has been wanting him to curate a trading course to train the professionals in institutions. And that's how Track Record came about. So in current times, V is managing money for family offices and is also trading himself. So without further ado, let me introduce V.
Hi, Nick. Thank you. Thanks very much. Today, we're going to talk about foundations of successful trading. We'll start with why you should be managing your own finances. And that's important because you need to know the reason why you should be managing your finances and you can find the motivations to do it right. And we'll then talk about the top 3 mistakes traders tend to make when they start to trade, or they've been trading a while but they cannot get traction, cannot be successful, and we'll identify their top 3 mistakes and how they can overcome it, right? And then we'll move on to talking about the forms of trading that is done by various professional institutions, hedge funds, investment banks all around the world in today's environment, and how they have an edge over retail traders, and what is the form of trading that the retail trader has a chance at succeeding in today's environment. Then finally, we'll talk about how to proceed from here, how to set yourself on a path to become successful at trading. First off, as I said, we will talk about managing your own finance and why you should do it. Many people believe that they can just save their money and be retired after a certain age. So there's still many newspaper articles about how much money you should save a month, how much money you should save a year, and then at which age you can retire. And many people assume that it is okay to then wait for retirement to then learn how to manage the finance. I think that's a little bit silly, in that learning to manage your finance as early as possible allows you to retire earlier, the earliest possible in your life, right? So you should not postpone learning how to manage finance till retirement. Instead, you should learn how to manage your finance to help with your retirement, to help you reach retirement. And saving passively is not a good idea in today's environment. In the last 20 years, in the last 12 years, since the credit crisis, the global financial crisis, you've been fed by the policymakers story that there is no inflation, but there is inflation if you look at asset prices. Prices of homes have gone up, prices of stocks have gone up, prices of cars have gone up, right? And COE and stuff like that. And you have asset inflation, you have inflation in medical costs, you have inflation in medical costs as well as education costs, and nutritious food, the price has also gone up, right? So essentially, there is inflation in the things that matter, and it's going to become even worse when inflation returns to the world because of the relentless money printing by all the policymakers around the world. So it's essential for you to start learning how to manage your finance such that you can keep pace with inflation without allowing inflation to erode your purchasing power. Freedom is achieved through either having passive income exceeding your living expenses, or having the ability to create wealth. right? And that's never going to happen. That's rarely going to happen through a 9 to 5 job where you are looking to save the excess income that you have, right? And so it's essential to learn how to create passive income and to to make your money work for you so that you do not have to continue working all the time. And the impact of your decisions compound through time, and it's the same way with compounding interest. The earlier you start to compound your savings, the earlier it grows, and the compounding interest will grow exponentially, and it becomes much easier as time passes. And another way to look at it is that investing in yourself is the best decision you can make. Learning how to manage your finance as early as you can will help you make better and wiser financial decisions throughout your life. Also, it is important to understand that personal finance is about making good decisions. It's about making all the decisions based on a risk-reward matrix. It's not about getting rich quick. It's not about getting rich fast, but it's about growing your wealth and become wealthy so that you have the you have the freedom to do the things that you want instead of having to go to a 9 to 5 job and tie yourself down at any location. And it's interesting to also point to this chart that this period of time is interesting to point out because it is during the time of the World War II, and it's the inflationary period in that all the governments started printing a lot of money to pay for the debts they incurred, the expenses that they incurred during the course of the war, to finance the war. And here on the blue line is the interest rates that you will receive if you invested in the US government 10-year bonds, which is one of the safest financial products around, equivalent to saving with a bank or buying savings bonds. And you can see that although you did not lose money, but the gray line is the consumer price index, which measures the prices of a basket of goods, you actually significantly underperform the CPI, right? Significantly underperform inflation. That means you would have lost your purchasing power, your $1,000, although it grew, but what you could buy with $1,000 was a lot less in 1951 than it was in 1942. And that's quite intuitive, right? Nowadays, with $1,000, you couldn't buy anything close to what you could have bought in 1942. And the orange line here shows the S&P 500 index, which is the index basket of stocks in the US stock markets. All the good stocks in the US stock markets they used to form an index, and you can see it significantly outperformed. And it significantly outperformed not just the bonds, but also the CPI, right? But of course, it looks easy. You could just follow the advice of financial advisors, say, oh, you just buy some stocks and it always goes up, and then you'll be safe. Of course, this is wrong because over time there's survivorship bias. The index in 1951 is not the same as the index in 1942. The index now is not the same as the index in 1951. If you bought all the stocks in 1951 and kept hold of them, most of them would have gone bankrupt by now. So it's not definitely buy stocks and hold and keep forever. So you have to actively manage it. And also, if you see that you drill down into the years in between during the shorter time frame, if on this right hand side chart, this smaller chart, you see that it's one way up. It looks quite simple, but in here you actually between 1946 to 1950, 1949, there was a big crash, negative 45% drawdown, meaning that stocks went down 45%. So you actually do need to know how to actively manage, how to manage your risk, how to not have too much risk such that you need to stop out at the lows and get left behind when it goes up after that, right? So it's not just passively buying an index and hoping for the best, because some of the stocks will go to zero and the index will get replaced, and you will not actually replicate the performance of the index. And also you will, within the shorter time frame, you will have big moves down, and you can see this in this year where you have a lot of volatility. It's come up a lot, stocks have come up a lot, but in the few days, few months, few weeks in between, there were big drawdowns, right? So part of actively managing your finance is the ability to understand that you need to manage your risk, to size your trades correctly, such that you don't get undue stress and you don't get stopped out at the lows. Here, it's important to know what are the top 3 mistakes that people make in trading and why they are not successful. Some of you who sign up for this talk would not be absolute beginners in trading, would have been trading for a while, and not have traction in getting the success that you wish to have. And that sometimes you make money and you find that it's not that difficult to make money, but unfortunately it's a lot easier to lose money in the process of trading. And one of the faults that they have, one of the mistakes that they make, is that they assume that certainty exists in trading, right? They try to make decision based on an outcome which they think will definitely happen, right? They don't think in terms of a range of outcomes. And this is what you need to do. You must always be prepared for all the other possibilities that you think unlikely, but they are still probable anyway. So today is a good day to talk about this because markets were doing really well yesterday before the news came out that we have a vaccine now in progress. And then what you saw was Dow Jones and S&P continued to go higher, but tech stocks came lower, right? So all the travel stocks, airline stocks did really well, but tech stocks took a beating because they've been doing really well during the whole crisis. And now suddenly people think that because the crisis is over, then they should be sold. And of course, this is where many mistakes are made in the thinking that there's only one path to the way forward. There's only one certainty, right? And it's not true. There's many possible outcomes. And to be successful in trading, you need to try to navigate the probabilities and plan for each possibility, although they may not seem to you as likely cases. So the US elections is another case in point. Some people lost a lot of money thinking that if Biden wins, then the stock markets will go down. And along the way, of course, they kept selling and then they lost a lot of money because that's what newspaper told them, right? If Biden wins, then he will impose high taxes and then the stock markets will go down. So the other mistakes that I want to talk about is that, and this happens a lot, even to some professional traders, but not professional traders who are successful. Professional traders who are unsuccessful tend to have this trait as well, and it is that they will tend to take the winners early. They will take profit early, and let losers run, right? They'll just let their losses accrue to such an extent that they just lose all the profits of, say, maybe they do 10 good trades and then they lose it all in one trade. And that's a very prevalent error that many traders make, right? Because unfortunately I got cut off again. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, in the retail sector, you have lots of people doing training videos or trying to teach you how to trade, and they're always measuring their trading performance by number of wins, right? Number of hit ratio. They think that it is important to have as many winners as possible, whereas most professional traders, even really famous ones such as George Soros, Paul Jones, those that you read about, market legends, they read about, they tend to have less than 50-50 winners to losers. And how they can be successful in the longer run is that when they win, when they make money, the profits that they make is a lot larger than when they lose money. So in fact, you should have more losers than winners, because when you're doing badly, when you're wrong, you should get out early. When you're right, you should let it ride. You should let the profits accrue. And that's the trading tip that you get often from many professional traders or market legends, right? Warren Buffett, all those names that you hear about. This is one of the top advice that they give to people, right? Is to let your winners run and cut your losses. Okay, so the other mistake that happens to be committed by many traders who are not sure how to succeed is that they expect this to be an easy hobby where you just turn up once in a while and you click a few buttons and you expect to make a lot of money because you think there's some hidden secret somewhere that allows you to do this, and they don't treat it like a business. If you treat it like a business, you will treat it like with the seriousness that it is that it deserves, right? You will not do a poker course online and then you start to play with professional players that you watch on TV, right? You will just not do it, right? Maybe you enter a tournament just for fun, but you don't expect to crush the professionals over long periods of time while playing cash games with them. And unfortunately, that's the case with many retail traders. They think, okay, I'm going to read a trading book, I'm going to attend a trading course, and once they finish it, they will like, okay, now I can switch on my computer. I'm going to put a lot of money into my savings into a trading account and then take on the professionals around the world. And of course, the world is filled with many retail traders such as yourself. That's why sometimes you get to win, but over the long run, you are playing against many professionals who have the edge over you in the longer run, right? So in the short term, you can get lucky against some professional players, but it's very unlikely that you'll be constantly beating them unless you know what you're doing, right? And you have to find an area where you have an edge, or at least they do not have a bigger edge over you, right? They do not have a consistent edge over you. And with that, we'll talk about why in a bit. We'll talk about what are the different types of trading that these professionals do, and which is the area that you can compete. You can be competitive in. So as I said before, you have to treat it like a business. You have to treat it with the seriousness that it deserves. You need to put in the effort, and you need to have the patience to master the game and master and trust the process, and be okay with some days where you are not making money, right? So unfortunately, there's no shortcut around this. It is not. It becomes easier as time passes, but as with any skills that worthwhile acquiring, it takes time and it takes effort. So as I said, we will talk about the forms of trading that professionals do, and some retail traders want to emulate them, but they just do not have the resources to do so. Quantitative trading, everybody knows, for people who are very, very mathematically inclined or very good with computers and spreadsheets, they always think, okay, they can come up with some quantitative trading models. They can program, using moving averages or some sort of technical analysis, and then they can outperform the markets over the long run. But this uses a lot of mathematics, a lot of artificial intelligence models these days. It requires programming and mathematical skills. One of the most successful hedge funds in the world, they hire rocket scientists, literally rocket scientists, and gamers, right? They literally computer gamers who program the games, PhDs, and they create models that constantly needs to be tweaked, right? So if you think you can come out with a spreadsheet and let it run, and then make a lot of money in the process I'm sorry to tell you, it is very unlikely that that's going to be the case, right? So another type of trading that professionals they do high frequency trading, and this again is what many retail traders want to do. They like to trade on a very small time frame, meaning they use 1 minute chart, 5 minute charts, or 30 minute charts. Some even use like they try to trade on news, right? But you are trading against people with really high speed internet. If you read the books about how they try to create their edge by having line of sight to the exchange, having fiber optics the to the exchanges, you will realize that having your internet, having a retail trading account, it's not going to cut it, right? And you have no edge in that. And trying to trade on data, they get the news ahead of you. They analyze it faster because they have models that allow them to map out the probabilities, as I said, possible outcomes, and they have a button that they just, the moment the data comes out, they immediately trade, right? So there's very, very little chance that you on a retail side will be successful on this. And long short trading is essentially looking to buy certain assets, stocks likely, and then short certain stocks. You do need to have sectoral analysis of ability to value different stocks properly. This is something that on the retail side you have an edge, right? Because it doesn't require technology that is cutting edge. It doesn't require heavy use of mathematics and artificial intelligence models. It just takes you time to understand how to analyze value of stocks. But of course, you need to have a lot of experience in doing so, because it's not just as simple as picking out a book, because stock valuation has changed through the years, in that growth is now very valuable input into a very significant input into stock valuation. And another one that is many firms do make a lot of money on is it's called arbitrage. Basically, they try to find mispriced assets and mispriced stocks, mispriced bonds, mispriced anything that's mispriced relative to where they think market should be. Again, it requires mathematical models that on the retail side you don't have. So some people, I've met people who thinks that they can arbitrage, meaning they try to trade between different platforms, and that worked at the beginning in a few years ago in crypto space and in different crypto exchanges. But again, the technology, the funds have improved they come to the space as well, because at the time not many people, not many professionals were really interested in cryptos, but that has already been taken care of. So in the markets that we look at, stocks, bonds, FX, this is really the province. I'm sorry that my feed keeps cutting out. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe my trading platform is interfering with the signal. And event-driven trading. This is something that requires a lot of analysis and news, and a strong team that helps you figure out what is the likely events that will cause a dislocation in price, or cause a move in price that you can benefit from, right? Again, not so much a retail sector trading. You don't really have that kind of edge, because all the news probably you you don't get to meet all the participants that is involved, like the companies or the politicians or the policymakers that is involved in the events, right? Global macro trading, which is primarily trying to understand what the world is all about, and then, as I said earlier, mapping out the trajectories, the possibilities of where the world will possibly go, and how then the asset prices of different instruments, different products, different currencies will move in relation to these outcomes, right? This, I think, is where the retail trader can succeed at, is because most people do this on a regular basis, except about asset prices, right? They read the news, they watch TV, they look at social media, they talk to their friends. You talk to your friends, then you have a view of where the world is going, right? And many things don't surprise you in the longer run because you talked about it with your friends, you've seen it coming. So much like I don't think anybody is surprised that Apple is one of the most dominant companies in the world, because you see your friends using Apple products, or maybe you yourself use Apple products, and no matter how bad, how expensive, or how lousy the charger is, you still insist on buying Apple products, right? And this, if you take it a step further, you will start to realize that it will affect prices of Apple stocks, right? Or the competitors and the suppliers, or the companies that supply chips to Apple or supply screens to Apple or things like that, right? So this requires only curiosity and clear thinking and the ability to the interest to find out more about the world, right? So this is where track record, our trading is primarily focused on. We're focused on global macro trading, and we think about the world. If you read our, I think by signing up for our webinar, you'll be signing up for our, you'll be automatically added to our some daily write-ups where we talk about where the world is going. And it's only it's interesting to most people who have an interest in how the world works, but then all you need to do to trade over the long run is to take it a step further, and you start to think about what each outcomes mean for different asset classes, and then within each different asset classes, you think what it means for and how you can profit from it, right? And it's interesting because it changes the way that you think about the world. It also changes about the way you look at different the prices of different things that you see in your life, right? So it's not just about you've learned how to find value in all of the value propositions in most of the things that you come across in life. So here is where we focus on, and here is where we think retail traders have an edge, because it doesn't need technology, it doesn't need complex mathematical models, and it's basically something that most people already do. It's just need to have the added skill of figuring out what each outcomes mean for different asset prices and asset classes and the prices, and how it will move and how you can profit from it. Again, why global macro, right? It's a skill that is easily learned. We can easily impart it to different people of different backgrounds, because, as I said, most people who are curious, who are interested in the world, already do that on a daily basis. You debate with your friends about the political situation, about who will win the elections. You debate with your friends about how important the vaccine is, how likely the vaccine is supposed to, how likely the vaccine can be implemented, even if the trials are successful. So you can see that it is not something that you really need to go to school for. It's just curiosity. You just need to have experience. And with the availability of information, it used to be, it's not so easy for people on the retail side, because the information has different tier levels, and the professional institutions, like investment banks or hedge funds, they pay a big price, a high price, and they get the information ahead of time. They have information that is not readily available to the general public. But with Twitter, with social media, with a lot of press now on the internet, basically it's pretty much a level trading field now, right? Most of the information that you get. In fact, in the age of Trump, what we have is that even the president of the United States talks directly to people on Twitter, right? So much of the press, many of the hedge funds, many of the investment banks, they actually for at the start of the Trump administration, they were behind the retail traders because they were not on Twitter, right? They were not allowed to be on Twitter, and they just generally didn't think Twitter was that important. Of course, this has changed. Everybody now who trades, anybody in finance, they follow Twitter now, and of course that will change soon if Biden becomes president. But basically, information is much more democratic, as we say here. It becomes readily available. So the edge that professionals have over retail traders have eroded in this area. The other thing that we know is that long-term trends are driven by many things, by policies which are very transparent. Government tells you their policies now. You know exactly what they want to do, and you have data that they publish all the time. So generally you don't even need to know economics or finance, right, to understand what these policies mean, what the policies of, say, how they try to lock down certain countries, how to implement social distancing. And you can imply from that, you can see from that, as you gain more experience, you can go from there to see what so for example, yesterday when for example, when the news of vaccine was released, the stocks that benefited during the start of the crisis, which is like Zoom, which is like Fiverr, they allow for online working, gig economy, right? Those all suffered, right? So this is not something that you require economic theory, or you require specialized education. This is something that if you read online, or actually if you read our daily summaries, you over time you start to make the connection and you start to understand how things work. And it's quite important. It does not require expensive hardware or software. It's just all you need is a mind that is clear, in that you are curious and you have the discipline to follow through whatever decisions that you arrive at, without being fearful or without being greedy. And most importantly, it doesn't require that you sit at your computer all the time to stare at the screens, right? I think one of the major mistakes and major misconceptions that many novice traders or inexperienced or unsuccessful traders have is that they think they need to be glued to the screens all the time, right? They want to stare at the price action. In fact, we have a question here already about price action, right? They think it is important to look at price action. On the retail side, you are trading against someone like me who has spent my years of staring at the screens. When I stare at the screen, it was my full-time job to stare at the screens, right? Your ability to stare at the screen and understand what's going on is going to be compromised by the fact that you did not spend I spent, how many years did I spend? I spent 16 years staring at the screens, at least 12 hours a day, right? And that's not the life that I want to have now, because I've left the professional trading scene, and the retail trading scene shouldn't be like this. You should not try to stay at the screen, and all you need to do is to be informed, right? You just need to spend a few hours a day to look at what has happened. You can look at what has happened based on charts. You can look at what has happened based on summaries of what has happened, right? That you can get access to all this information easily these days now. So if you find yourself trading and staring at the screen and hoping for things to happen, then you're going about it the wrong way, right? Time is better spent doing other things that which we will, of course, go through during the program that we are talking about. Where do we go from here? So I have gone through quickly what I think are the successful foundations that's required for successful trading. First, I go through with you why you need to trade, and this is critical. You need to understand why you need to do it. It's not for fun. It's not for excitement. A lot of people trade because they think it's exciting. It is not supposed to be that kind of exciting, right? If it's exciting, it's gambling, right? Of course, over time when you succeed, you'll find you'll be very passionate about it. And then we went through why, what are the mistakes that traders make. The top 3 mistakes. If you try to eradicate that from your trading, you will eventually become more successful than you currently are if you have committing those mistakes. And most people commit those mistakes in various forms and at different stages of their career. Even now, sometimes I find myself, when I get complacent, I find myself prone to committing these mistakes, right? So it's critical that you surround yourself with people, like-minded people, with a community that allows you to be honest to yourself and to keep yourself accountable to the process. And that's very critical as well. And finally, we talk about the different types of trading. And with that, we talk about the different types of trading professionals do, and where are the areas that retail traders can excel in, and which we say is global macro trading, which is basically trying to understand the world and then trying to map out what are the probabilities, what are the probable outcomes, and which most people do on a daily basis anyway. If you're interested in the world, you read about current affairs, you talk to your friends about it, and you just need an added step of figuring out how it affects finance in that, how it affects your finance in that, how it affects asset prices, and how you can benefit from all these different outcomes. So to go back full circle, Track Record is a complete trading academy in that we give you all the necessary help to become a consistently successful trader. Track Record was started primarily, as Nick was saying, because I have friends who were in professional institutions who needed training for their traders, right? So these are professional traders, which we still conduct. Of course, this year we've not conducted that because of COVID, but generally our programs are tailored for professionals, right? In different banks in Hong Kong, Singapore, and even Malaysia, actually. So what we have done in the process of conducting these courses, I also looked at, because now I'm in the retail sector, I use different brokers to trade, not access to professional platforms as before. I realized that there's a big gap between the skill set and knowledge and expertise in Main Street, which is the average person, average retail trader, as compared to Wall Street. There's a lot of misconception in Main Street in that there's a lot of fascination with all these cool terms, right? Like exotic trading terms, right? And they think they can succeed using all these esoteric terms without truly understanding that they do not have the skill set or do not have the technology. Like a lot of people like quantitative trading, they like high frequency trading, they like trading on a shorter time frame. They think, oh, you know, swing trading or whatever they want to call it, right? They think, oh, this will lead me to success in the longer run. But actual fact, there's very, very few areas that is not totally dominated by Wall Street, by their technology, by their skill sets, right? And in the few areas that you can excel in, you require it to be an area where there's no edge in, there's no requirement of high tech, there's no requirement of quantitative models that, you know, programmed by rocket scientists, right? So with this, our program combines theory. It's not going to be economic theory because unfortunately, for any with all due respect, if there's any economists online or anybody who studied finance theory in school, most of the things that you learn in economic textbooks are wrong. They do not model the real world. They always talk about ideal cases, and it doesn't really work. So we talk about theory that's helpful. So basically about policies that will have an influence in the real world, and we use hands-on experience. We use practical examples to give you an experiential learning process, basically based on case studies where you actually learn how to trade with real money, because we are trying to make real money, right? We're not trying to make theoretical money in that if all things being equal, then it works, right? In life, all things are not equal. Things change all the time. Many things change all the time. And unfortunately, trading is such that even when everything goes your way, you can still lose money if it just doesn't go your way, right? It's just weird that way. So sometimes all three factors combined will cause prices to go this way, but in another time it doesn't, because it's just a different environment. So it's difficult in that way. But what is important in knowing this is that theory will, if just focusing on theory, it will lead you to lose a lot of money when these things happen, right? But if you have theory and also hands-on practice, you have risk management, in that even when you're right and you start to lose money, you have at least a risk framework that allows you to stop yourself from losing too much money, because it will stop you from seeing the for this may sound complicated, but it will become very intuitive as you go through the case studies when we talk about trading, right? And if you some of you may not have traded before, some of you have traded. For those who have traded, you must have experienced this before, where everything as you read, as you thought about, happens. It comes out, the news is exactly like this, and then yet the market doesn't behave like this, right? So then a case in point would be if many newspapers, even ourselves, we talk about if the US elections was a contested US elections, then the stock markets will suffer, right? But in fact, it is a contested elections, but the stock markets went up anyway, right? So you must be able to have a risk framework that allows you to not lose money when you're wrong. In fact, stop you from losing too much money when you're wrong, and helps you make a lot of money when you're right. Okay, so today, of course, we are talking about the program launch of our latest program, which is to become a winning trader, which is tailored for the absolute beginner, as well as traders with a few years experience and are struggling with getting traction, and have the interest and the discipline to start from the beginning, in that you get it right. So why one of the reasons why I created this program with my team is because we've been in business for a few years now, and most of our programs are very high level, because we essentially do the same material for professionals as well as the retail. We just simplify the terms and put more explanations, of course, right? But what we have found is that many traders who come to us do not have the necessary foundation. And for those who succeeded, they had to do a lot of work to start from the beginning by themselves to figure out where they went wrong, right? And of course, we thought having this program, Become a Winning Trader program, it is designed to help you become a competent and winning trader at the end of it, without needing more programs. But and that by necessity, it takes time. So this is not a 2-day program. It's a 2-day program with 6 months community membership attached, right? And later on, Praise will talk to you about what it's all about also. So So the course topics, right? The course topics is essentially we start off with why, where, and how, and what to trade, right? So many people have the misconceptions of trading in that they think that the simple thing about trading is you just open a trading account and you start to clicking away, right? What they do not understand is that in fact from the beginning they have already doomed themselves to failure because they've chosen the wrong platform. They don't understand the cost embedded within the trading, and they end up, regardless of their trading performance over time, they're paying so much fees that it ends up a losing proposition. So that's just a simple example of why we need to do this at the start about what are the requirements, right? And when to trade also is supposed to be here, because most people don't know about time zones or the important time zones for the products that you trade. So we go through this, and we talk about the asset classes, which ones that are especially especially suitable for beginners and also experienced traders to trade. So and we talk about leverage because that's the most powerful and the most harmful thing that a trader can come across. Most traders who have traded for a while, if you ask them, if they're honest with you, they will tell you that they have blown up at least 1 or 2 accounts, and that's because they do not understand how to use leverage and they do not how to utilize stop losses, right? So we'll go through that as part of the program to help you not to blow up, right? And then later on, we'll start to talk about the reality of markets, what the theoretical models tell you the markets are supposed to be. And it's not going to be heavy on theory, but it's only heavy on what is the misconceptions that people have about markets and what the real markets actually do and how to distinguish between noise and signal. So some of the people who trades on very short-term time frame, they get very frustrated because they're actually focusing on noise. They're trying to capture the noise, and you can do that basically in the short run. You can be lucky, but you're trying to be lucky over the long run is almost like me hoping that this connection will stay stable for the rest of this webinar. It's not that lucky, right? So differentiate between different market regimes. We'll talk about market regimes. If you are confused what market regimes are, it's meant to be this way because it's supposed to let you know that there are some things that professionals know about that the retail people don't really talk about. So after we uncover the reality, we talk about how to understand global macro, or how to identify, how to get a foundation in global macro. We talk about the pillars of global macro and how they influence asset prices and how you can identify the drivers of and that will help you identify trends over the longer run and over the period of time that while these are all active, and how you can profit from it. That's the most important thing, right? So this part, some people will call it fundamental analysis, right? And of course, many questions that I had received before is, is this a fundamental analysis course or is it a technical analysis course? And my answer has always been, why do you need to learn only one tool if you want to be a complete trader, if you want to be a winning trader, right? So this is the start of your journey, or at least this is going back to basics, going back to forming the foundation that is how it's supposed to be done. And you learn the fundamentals, and then you also learn the technical analysis of it all, right? And we go to the very basic in that we talk about why it is being used, so that you understand the psychology behind technical analysis, not just naming different patterns and then not knowing what to do with it. So I've come across many traders who just draw lines and then they don't really understand what they're doing. Here we go to the level where you get to know how to use it, right? It's not learning a few names and then talk about it with your friend. the whole purpose of the course is to make money, right? So you have to learn everything that's involved in making money, and by the end of it, you will have the ability. We'll go through it together. We'll put it all together in helping you how to monitor your trades, how to risk manage, how to manage the risk, and more importantly is to go through case studies such that you can come up with a trading plan that allows you to use all the skills that you've acquired in the process and how you can execute it in a way that will help you become a successful trader, or what we call the winning trader, right? So with that, I will hand it over to Praise. Praise is our consultant now. She was working in banks before, and she came across a track record when we first started in 2016. She is the first student. She's not the first student. She's the first of two students. The other one was Nick, who signed up for our first course, which was the professional trading course. And to give her, I allow her to, she's now a partner at a asset management firm. So she has experience in how to implement the skills that she's learned from us in a practical fashion that has helped her generate success. She will give you a better idea of what the course is about in terms of being a student, rather than from my point of view, which is being the lecturer or the mentor, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you, V, for the introduction. Okay, right now I'll go through what you'll be getting with the program. You'll be getting the 6 months bonus access to the community membership. That includes the Traders Chat Forum. So the chat forum is a place where you can pick the brains of professional traders. It gives you access to your mentors, V and Nicholas, on a constant basis. Later on, I'll be showing you some of the screenshots, and you can see the kind of interaction that we have on this platform. So it is not just about a one-way street where we post news or information on the platform, but it's really a place for you to get to know your mentors better and to have a place where you can check your ideas against. And on top of that, I think it's very important that candidates be very enterprising and very smart about how they use the forum, because the reason why we extend this to you is so that you can enjoy sort of like a remote mentorship via a platform like that. Okay, next you'll be getting the CIO's week ahead report. The CIO week ahead report is not just a regurgitation of the news, but rather it is a report that shows you exactly what V is thinking. So it helps you stay ahead of the game. And on top of that, it gives you an insight into how his thought process is like, how he analyzes and deciphers the market. So that's very important, because global macro trading is really about understanding the economic fabric and the fundamentals of the markets, what drives the markets, that helps you decipher and make good trading decisions. So this is something that would help you get ahead even before the week starts. And thirdly, you'll be getting the premium podcast. These are only open to our community members. So we do talk about topical events, like, for example, the elections. We talk about like during the right smack in the middle of the COVID crisis, we actually had a special episode where we talk about how are we going to navigate through the COVID crisis. So if you recall, during that time, that was a very volatile time in the markets. And that's why we have such podcasts to help our members have a better grasp of the markets and to be able to help them through the many seasons that they will go through in their trading journey. Okay, fourth, we have the networking sessions. Of course, due to COVID right now, we can't hold live in-person networking sessions. However, we still hold things like fireside chat via Zoom, right? And these networking sessions are very important because it allows you to interact with the people in a more casual setting. And on top of that, it also helps you build up your network of professional traders to allow you to get to know them on a more personal basis. And of course, for those who, again, are smart about how they make use of these resources, you'll find that these networking sessions are actually very useful in your own personal career as well. Okay, so we also have webinars. So the webinars, we discuss impactful events and ideas. So for example, like what is going to happen if, let's say, Trump wins the election at the end of the day, right? So these are things that we have to think about, because these are things and events that have long-term impact on your portfolio, right? And so these are preemptive webinars that we have to allow our traders to have a clearer idea of what is going to happen to markets. Because as a trader, you cannot be too reactive. You have to be preemptive, in fact, and you only be reactive only after something happens. And why do I say that? Because we, at the same time, right, while you have an idea of what you think is going to happen, but when new information is presented to you, you need also the dexterity to basically alter your views according to new information, right? So that's why I believe that this entire suite of products that we are giving to you free during this 6 months bonus access really works cohesively and holistically to help you in your trading. Okay, last but not least, we have the track record daily reports. So track record daily reports, I believe, is one of the most important elements as well, because this really helps you kickstart your day. It keeps you updated on what's happening with markets. I think most of you would not stay through markets overnight, especially because we are staying in this time zone. So most of you would want to have a quick update on what happened overnight, right? Maybe some of you are even in finance, and these daily reports are the exact same ones that we send to banks and hedge funds. And I can tell you that professional traders across the world are reading these same reports. So we are not shortchanging you by giving you like a regurgitation of the news, right? All these reports are a summary of the news, yes, but it also includes what we think is going to happen, what we expect the risks are throughout the week. So it's something that really gives you a good insight to the markets, and also completed with trade ideas. So we also present you with ideas that are monetizable, something that you can act upon, right? And add on to your portfolio whenever you deem necessary. Right, so the usual price for the community membership is at $1,068 for 12 months access. However, with this program, we will be giving it to you for 6 months free. And this is the reason for doing that is to allow you to have a head start, right? And on top of that, to supplement what cannot be done from just the webinar alone. So we understand that trading is a process. So we are giving you this so that we give you a complete suite that will allow you to be successful in your trading. And with our programs, we usually include other suites of products to help you supplement what cannot be accomplished from just a webinar alone. Okay, so the program dates are set to be on the 28th November and 5th December. It's 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So the usual price of the webinar for this program is at $999. However, to reward all of you for joining us on a Tuesday evening, we will be giving out a coupon code webinar200 for a $200 off today. So when you do check out on our website, remember to put on this coupon code so that you can enjoy the discount. So after discount, that will be $799 when you apply the coupon code. Okay, right now I'm just going to show you a few screenshots of the Traders Chat forum. As you can see here, this is one of our candidates who asked a question about after stopping out on gold. So of course, you can take time to look through this, and we actually gave quite a good explanation, a quite lengthy explanation over here. I'm just going to move on to show you a few more screenshots. So the reason why I'm showing you these screenshots is because it's actually very important for you to understand that the forum is not just a place where we send information or a place where you only come to when you have like 1 or 2 questions. It is on a constant basis that our candidates engage us. And that's why I say that for candidates who are really hungry for the opportunity, they actually make full use of this forum. And I would say that it even acts as a remote mentorship for them, right? Because you can tell that over here, V is very engaging, and it is not like after the webinar we just disappear for good, right? You can engage us and continue to learn from us, and also from the rest of the professional traders within our circle. Yes, and over here, I'd just like to highlight, V also, of course, points out certain levels that you should be looking out for. So why this is important? Because we are very specific in the way we answer questions and the way we handle our candidates. We do not just give you a very general answer whenever you have a question. We really deep dive into the specific position that you're talking about, and we really pay close attention to our candidates and their portfolio to ensure maximum success, right, for them. Yeah, so again, one of our candidates posting his trade idea. Okay, so I'll just move on from here. Okay, so now it's time for Q&A. We received some questions here, so maybe I can have Nick pick some questions for me.
Hi guys. Yeah, so we received some questions from the participants. So we're going to read some of the more notable ones, which I think it's going to be relevant for everyone. So one of the questions asked is, what if I can't make it for the course dates? Can I still join?
Yes, you can, because the webinars will actually be recorded and sent out to all participants. So even for those who have attended the live webinar, you may revisit the content whenever you need to. And the community membership also gives you 6 months access to the Traders Chat Forum. So, make full use of the chat forum to engage the professionals and look into their portfolio and pick on their brains, right? So with enough engagement, it is in fact a form of remote mentorship for the participants. So I think, yes, to answer your question, yes, the entire program will be recorded. And with the amount of materials that we'll be sending out to you, I believe that even if you do not take part in the live webinar, if it be so that you can't make it, I believe that with the materials and the supplementary things that we'll be sending out to you, I'm very sure that that should help fill the gap.
Right, and the second question is, I do not have finance background at all. Will this work for me?
Yes.
Hang on, Nick. Can I address that same question before?
Right.
So it's important to get into the cohort because even if you miss one or the dates, or you have to watch it on a recorded basis, because on the chat forum that Praise was showing you, there's going to be a dedicated line for this cohort that joins, right? A channel for this cohort that joins. So there will be access to being able to ask your peers as well as your mentors if you have any questions regarding the program. So it's important because we don't regularly conduct the courses, so it's good to get in during this cohort and then get started on your learning and become involved along the way. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, please address your questions just now.
And so if we do not have a finance background at all, will it work for you, for someone?
Okay, so the question is, if I do not have a finance background, will this work for me? Okay, yes, the foundation course is designed to help candidates get started on the right foot. So as I mentioned earlier, even though it's a foundational course, it is not a layman course, right? We are giving you the professional basics to set you up to be a professional trader. So on top of that, we are giving you supplementary materials, as I mentioned earlier, such as the reports, the podcasts, and webinars to help you get up to speed. So I think even if you do not have finance background, firstly, I think if you want to trade, it is finance, right? So you will still need to learn, right? You still need to learn. And I think that with the materials that we give you, it shouldn't be as hard as you think, because basically what we're doing is we're filtering out all the important things. Because I think the worst thing than not knowing like having any financial knowledge is learning the wrong things, right? Because a lot of retail candidates that I've met before, they tend to have a lot of misconceptions about the markets. They tend to have very bad habits when they are trading. And in fact, because of that, a lot of them gave up trading for many years. Maybe they have paper traded before, or they have traded real money before. And then because they have been doing the wrong things, they feel like they can't figure it out. So they decide to give up. So when they finally meet me, of course, they are trying to give it a second shot. But I just feel that a lot of them who have so-called background in this is actually not real useful background. So I think come in with an open mind and let us lead you in the right direction.
Right. And the next question is, many people have failed in trading, and I have also taken part in other courses that amounted to nothing. How will I know if this would work out?
Okay. So actually I get asked this a lot. So many people has failed in trading because due to the advent of online brokers, trading has become very easily accessible to retail traders, right? This means that the barrier to entry is very, very low, right? So this does not mean, even though the barrier of entry is low, it does not mean that it's an easy endeavor. So many retail traders, unfortunately, do not set their expectations right when they pick up trading. They think that you will get rich very, very fast, right? So another question that candidates like to ask me is, when can I recover my course fees, right? So I think that rather than thinking about how fast you can get rich, it's about when you do make the money, how long can you stay rich, right? So one needs to learn the proper skill of managing risk and investing, because if you want to stay rich for the long term, you will need to learn this skill well. And what I can guarantee you is that the skills that we teach you are practiced by some of the most successful veterans of the industry. And our programs guide you all the way from beginner to professional level of trading. So some of our students that have stuck with us for a long time, they have gone on to manage their own funds successfully. Some of them are working in professional funds as well. So I think that with us, we handhold you all the way through, because we understand that it is a journey, right? You do not become professional overnight, right? So I can't speak for other courses that amounted to nothing, but I think that if you stick through with us, we know how to get there, because we were from there, right? So we came from the institutions. He's not a retail guy trying to be professional, right? It is who he is, right? So I think rather than asking someone how to get up to the peak of the mountain, ask the person who came down from the mountain, right? How to get up.
Right. And one more question that we have is, how much is this course worth to me? What can I expect to get in return for the money spent?
Okay, so I think it's a very subjective question, right? So the most politically correct answer that I can give you is that it depends on your effort. And it's very true that it really does depend on your effort. But for most of you, I think trading is a very small part of the big picture, right? Most of you want to trade not because you love the markets. Okay, let's be honest, right? It's not because you really love, breathe and sleep with the markets, right? You want to trade the markets because you want to make money, right? And I personally believe that the highest dividend that money can give you is time, right? And freedom. So that is what makes trading highly attractive, because being very good at it can give you both money and time, right? So unlike brick and mortar business, you can trade anywhere in the world as long as you have internet connection, right? So that's where the freedom part comes in. So that being said, I think most of you are not just looking to learn how to trade. And in fact, some of you might already know how to trade, but you're looking for something that completes the equation, and that's opportunity. So if you ask me how much this course is worth to you, honestly, I don't know who you are because it's anonymous. But what I can say is that I believe you're here today because you're looking for opportunity, right? And I think that opportunity is what you make of it. right? And what I can say is this course may be, just one step for your trading, but it can be a huge step for your life. It sounds very cheesy, but it is a fact, because there are opportunities that are asymmetric, right? Just like how I'm talking to you here today, or how I end up being a partner in an asset management firm, is one thing that leads to another, right? And by now you may have realized that Track Record is a hub that connects professionals to retail, right? And retail to professionals alike. So it is a gateway for those who one day want to earn a seat at the table, right? So if you realize you always want to be on the right side of asymmetry, and that is what you get out of this, right? It can be, 799 after the coupon discount. It may seem like a lot or very little, but it is what kind of opportunities that it leads you to, right? So to those who are hungry for opportunity, I think it's very obvious, if you're enterprising about this, it can lead to a lot. So it can be worth a lot to you, right? And for those, of course, you just see this as like a 2 days webinar that you may or may not turn up, or like just skip through it, then of course it will not amount to much, right? And I believe that you will not get much return for the money spent, right? So to answer the question, I think we put you on the right side of asymmetry, but it ultimately lies in your hands, like how much effort you want to put in, and how to make the best out of this. Because like everything in life, I think opportunity can be there, but you also need to be the right person for the opportunity. And at the same time, I think being in this community, you need to be very enterprising and be opportunistic, right? Not only asking for opportunity, but be opportunistic when opportunity comes. Because if you don't have the right skills, or you are not hungry enough for opportunity, you never see how something can lead to another, right? So I hope that answer your question. I think, are there any more questions?
No, there are no more questions.
Okay, so I think these are the 5 questions. Hang on. Let me...
We have a question. When does the community membership commence?
Okay. So basically how it works is, after you sign up for the program, the community membership will immediately kickstart, right? So the 6 months will be from the program itself, right? But I think meanwhile, you may be added to our mailing list that will of course give you some of the freebies. So I think that will also help you, because I mean, our freebies are not exactly free, but these are like additional things that you may get. Okay, what if you have an existing membership now? Okay, so how it works is this. So we have candidates that sign up, because how the Track Record programs work is that it's segregated into different levels. So you may have an existing membership now. So how it works is, if let's say you have signed up for a program before and you have the membership, it'll just be extended. So for candidates who constantly basically go on with the flow, they will have constant access to the membership benefits. I think we'll have some more questions coming in. Okay, it will be good if we can use Skills Future to attend the course. Okay, I think for this portion, for this Skills Future, I think I will direct you actually to the benefit of the coupon code, because I think the coupon code is actually quite significant. So it's $200 off. Okay, here. Are you going to have another program in the near future? Okay, so because the date doesn't suit. Okay, so to answer this, as of now, the current date that we have is 28th and 5th. So because we do this in cohorts, so how it works is, once we launch this foundation program, the candidates can choose to move on to the intermediate, so on and so forth. So it's actually a roadmap that flows. So I would suggest that if you can, maybe, I mean, I understand that some of you will want to have the live interaction during the live webinar. But I think try not to miss the cohort, because because honestly we don't have another date for this, because how we set our timeline is that the candidates will progress to intermediate and then slowly into incubation. So I think incubation program, I also have some questions on that. Incubation program is for another time, but I think incubation program is something that I think a lot of you will be very interested to learn more. So I think you can go on our website to learn more, or you can leave us a message somewhere, and of course, we will contact you lah.
Yeah, so to address that also, the part of the reason why our programs are not like other trading academies where they have constant, like they're very regular programs, is that we want to work with a smaller group, and also we have professional programs that we conduct for institutions and banks, right? So we tend not to have too heavy a schedule for our calendar, right? Because generally until now, all the programs are conducted by me. So until we learn how to clone me, and I would like to be personally involved with all the programs so far we're conducting. So unfortunately, we don't have the next date for you, Vishal. I'm so sorry for that, but do keep in touch. But as I said, as Praise also said, I don't think you should be worried about watching the recorded webinar, because the online, the 6 months program, 6 months membership allows you to ask questions anyway. So and during the course of it's intended to be this way, that it's a 6 months thing rather than a 2-day thing, because I think what we have found is that learning over long periods of time is and while hands-on is much better learning process for the students involved.
Yeah, so to reiterate what we said, we don't plan it to be 2 days. We plan for our candidates to move on to the next stage. And I mean, just to clarify, this is not called upselling, right? Some people may say, oh, I don't want to join because it's upselling. There is no need for us to upsell you, because in fact, V is not, he's not trying to sell you. He's not a salesperson. He's a trader, right? His main income comes from trading, right? So it is not about upselling. But why we plan it this way is because we need to segregate trading into different stages so that you can progress to eventually become professional, right? And I think if you have traded before and maybe you have had, not so good experience with it, you will understand that it is not easy and it takes time, right? So for us, in fact, I think we are most famous for our incubation program, where we have personal mentorship to a group of selected students, right? So similarly, we're trying to do this with the foundational students. So we actually plan it in a way that helps you progress, right? So we dedicate a certain time slot for the students to start from foundation program all the way to incubation, right? That's why we can't have too many courses packed back to back, right? Okay, hi, okay, instruments that so this question is, may I know what instruments you all use for trading other than buy and hold cash plays? Is are CFDs encouraged or to avoid, since it involves leverage and is banned in the US? Maybe V
Yes.
or Nicholas?
Oh, okay. So Daryl asked these questions about, that's why, as I said, part of the program is talking about the different asset classes to trade, right? But generally, our skills, the skills that we trying to teach, the skill set allows you to trade anything that moves in a liquid fashion, meaning that it's not a manipulated market, and it has a working market, right? It's not a manipulated market. It's not a market that requires specialized skills, right? So we actually do a lot of examples based on currencies. You know, everybody fancies themselves a currency trader or stocks, right? Many people fancies themselves as a stock trader as well. So we just use all these things. And it is not a buy and hold cash plays, right? Essentially, it just seems that way because we talk, some of our trades are like this. We trade across different time frames, and we teach you how to trade across different time frames. And then there are many different types of traders, and it allows you to figure out what time frame you prefer, what kind of instruments you prefer. So in our community, some of our traders, they trade options, some trade FX currencies. We have a question. The teaching revolve around FX instruments only. I said no, it revolves around anything that moves. The skills that we teach is for you to teach, for you to trade anything that moves. For me personally, I trade bonds, FX, stocks, stock indices, stock futures, commodity futures, options. I don't believe any of you here would have access to more trading instruments than me, unless you are trading in a professional institution where you have specialized access to different markets that I don't bother with. So it is not only FX, but I use examples of FX and examples of stocks because it is easier to explain to the average person. But it doesn't mean, and also don't misunderstand, this is not a product knowledge. It's not like I'm going to teach you theoretical instruments, right? Like what does this mean? What does this mean? Because I believe those, we will give you links where you can just learn from Investopedia what the product is. We'll teach you the absolute basic that you require. We're not going to waste your time with theoretical knowledge. We're going to teach you what are the practical skills to trading, right? You don't really need to know some like how to price an FX forward to trade FX, right? So I'm not going to be wasting your time with all this theoretical knowledge, right? Okay, I think we've come to 9:30. With that, there are some questions that we will not have a chance to come round. Please communicate with our team. They will answer your questions.
Maybe if any of you have further questions, you can contact us directly via Instagram, Facebook, or you can email it to us via our website. And also, just to sum up, the price for today is $799 if you use the discount code. I mean, should you have any further inquiries, always feel free to contact us. And also, may I just emphasize, this is a foundation program. So it is suitable for people who do not have trading background, or if you do have trading background but you are looking for a structured way to progress to professional level, then do consider taking part in this program, because that's exactly how we have designed it, to start you off with the foundation and then slowly build your skill up to prepare you for professional trading. Okay, so thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the week ahead. And stay true to the process, like what we always says, and we'll see you again. All right, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye bye. Thanks for attending. Bye bye.